how are you? I'm very well this morning, I hope you are too. This morning I'm going to do an assembly that's based on Children's Mental Health Week. Yesterday I watched a video from Mrs. Mayo which introduced the week to you, and I know that all week this week you will be working either in school or on Seesaw on creativity and how creativity can improve the way that you're feeling. Now you know that I think that creativity is really important. You know that I've spoken to you in the past about the fact that I'm trying to get better at drawing bit by bit by bit. I'm still doing that, I'm still on that journey, but I'm getting there. I am better now than I was before. Today I'm going to read you a story that's all about the power of a pencil. But in this case, it's actually a crayon. Now the book that I'm reading to you today is a very old book. Usually I try and read you new and exciting books that you wouldn't have read before because they've just been published. But this book was actually published in 1955. Now that's a really long time ago. I'm quite an old person and it's 30 years older than me. It's about as old as my dad, and he's very old indeed. So, I'm going to read you the story. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. I think it's absolutely fantastic. You won't see me while I'm reading you the story because I want you to see the images on the page, but then I'll come back for a video at the end. Okay, right, I hope you enjoy it. See you later. Okay, the book's called Harold and the Purple Crayon, and it's by Crockett Johnson, and there it says the 50th anniversary, but actually now it's about the 60th. One evening, after thinking it over for some time, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. There wasn't any moon, and Harold needed a moon for a walk in the moonlight, and he needed something to walk on. He made a long straight path so he wouldn't get lost, and he set off on his walk, taking the big purple crayon with him. But he didn't seem to be getting anywhere on the long straight path, so he left the path for a shortcut across a field, and the moon went with him. The shortcut led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. He didn't want to get lost in the woods, so he made it a very small forest with just one tree in it. I've moved. The reason I'm putting a little video in here is because I love this bit when Harold starts to think about exactly what it is that he wants, and that's what I love about creativity. You're in charge. So if you're feeling a bit sad, or like Harold, he started worrying that the forest might be too big and he might get lost, he just drew one tree. So if you're feeling a bit sad, maybe you could draw something that makes you feel happy or makes you feel safe. It turned out to be an apple tree. The apples would be very tasty, Harold thought, when they got red. So he put a frightening dragon under the tree to guard the apples. It was a terribly frightening dragon. It even frightened Harold. He backed away, his hand holding the purple crayon shook. Suddenly he realised what was happening, but by then Harold was over his head in an ocean. He came up thinking fast, and in no time he was climbing aboard a trim little boat. What a clever idea from Harold there. He quickly set sail, and the moon sailed along with him. After he had sailed for long enough, Harold made land without much trouble. He stepped ashore on the beach, wondering where he was. The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and the thought of picnics made him hungry, so he laid out a nice, simple picnic lunch. There was nothing but pie, but there were all 9 kinds of pie that Harold liked the best. When Harold finished his picnic, there were quite a lot left. He hated to see so much delicious pie go to waste. So Harold left a very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to finish it up, and off he went, looking for a hill to climb to see where he was. Harold knew that the higher up he went, the farther he could see, so he decided to make the hill into a mountain. If he went high enough, he thought, he could see the window of his bedroom. He was tired, and he felt as though he ought to be going to get into bed. He hoped he could see his bedroom window from the top of the mountain. But as he looked down over the other side, he slipped,
And there wasn't any other side of the mountain. He was falling in thin air. But luckily, he kept his wits and his purple crayon. He made a balloon, and he grabbed onto it. And he made a basket under the balloon big enough to stand in. He had a fine view from the balloon, but he couldn't see his window. He couldn't even see his house. So he made a house with windows, and he landed the balloon on the grass in the front yard. None of the windows was his window. He tried to think where his window ought to be. He made some more windows. He made a big building full of windows. He made lots of buildings full of windows. He made a whole city full of windows. But none of the windows was his window. He couldn't think where it might be. He decided to ask a policeman. The policeman pointed the way Harold was going anyway, but Harold thanked him. And he walked along with the moon, wishing he was in his room and in bed. Then suddenly Harold remembered. He remembered where his bedroom window was when there was a moon. It was always right around the moon. And then Harold made his bed. He got in it and he drew up the covers. The purple crayon dropped on the floor and Harold dropped off to sleep. Hello again. I hope you really enjoyed that book. I love it. I was really pleased when I remembered it and read it yesterday when I was thinking about this assembly, because I think it shows really clearly the importance of being creative and how enjoyable being creative can be. Harold, it seems to me, had a really good journey there, and he created it all himself with just a purple crayon. So, during today, when you're thinking about drawing, and during this week when you're thinking about being creative, I hope that you can be like Harold and you can go on little adventures. I don't want to say much more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on Seesaw so you can see it if you're at home and if you're in school, and hopefully I will see on Seesaw some of the amazing things that you create this week. Remember, on Friday it's Dress to Express, so you can dress in a way that expresses how you're feeling and who you are. See you then. Bye bye.